breakfast is complete. It was just as good as I hoped it was going to be. Actually, probably better. One of the best breakfasts I've ever had, especially in the woods. The fire is getting to be just about perfect for
start smoking this meat on this camp stove that I've got. Okay, I would put the meat down here on this end, keep the fire inside the box, and that smoke and heat will just dry that meat right out. But I want to do this the hard way, so I've got to build a tripod. The loin, okay? I wanted to show you real quick some pretty important stuff about preparing meat to turn into jerky, okay? First thing you want to do is make sure all the fat is off of it. Alright, this fat can either be eaten or used as fuel. Tool dressing, any of the lard videos, okay, that's where this is coming from. You want to make sure that there's no connective tissue left in here. And the way you do that is almost like filleting or skinning, rather, a fish. So get your knife blade underneath the meat. And you can fillet most of this silver skin right off of here. Just like so. Now you've got a chunk of meat with very little connective tissue on it, and that's what you want for smoking meat. Just a real nice chunk right there. Now, I'll prep this here in a minute, the rest of this in just a minute, but I want to show you what you want for this meat that we're going to smoke here. Is you want as thin of strips as you can cut, and you want to go with the grain of the muscle. That make sure it doesn't fall apart is what that does. And these little chunks aren't what you're looking for, okay? What you want is something closer to this size right here, okay? Is strips about like that. Okay, that's a lot of surface area for that heat to surround and dry out that meat. That's what we're going for. I'm going to process the rest of this up into strips, and I'll get back with you in just a second. Alright guys, time to build a tripod. I'm going to use bamboo because that's what's easiest, but you can use any of these straight sticks that you find. You want them to be about 6 feet long. Alright guys, I don't know if you're going to be able to see what I'm doing here or not, and that's okay, because it's not that difficult. You're just going to set up your tripod over your flame or over your heat source, and take a piece of cordage and bind these together. Now there is a tripod lashing. Okay, if you want to look that one up, feel free. I don't use it for this type of stuff because it's really not needed. Because this isn't really going to support much weight at all. The piece of cordage I'm using is actually my fish stringer from yesterday. The way I look at it, I'm not going to cut a piece of cordage if I don't have to. I've already got one cut to the size I need, which is roughly 4 or 5 feet right here in my bag already. So I'm just going to use what I've got here. The biggest thing to remember about lashing is the tighter you get it around individual components of your lash, the stronger it's going to be and the better it's going to hold. Frapping turns can only do so much to increase the tightness of your lash. So you really want to go around individual components with individual turns. And if you do that, your lashing is going to be a lot stronger. So individual turns around each component of your lashing. It's just like tying rebar if you've ever done that, okay? And then frapping turns after you make your individual turns around your components. If you do that, guys, you're going to make a pretty strong lashing every time. And you don't really need to learn each individual lash. Keep that stuff in mind and your lashings are going to be strong. And there it is, standing up over the fire. Now, based on my prevailing wind, okay, which right now I don't have any, is going to determine where I put that tripod. So the next thing I want to do is connect my components here, and I don't need it to be this wide, so I'm going to stand it up a little bit. Alright, now if you don't have very much to smoke, you can get away with just poking a stick in the ground at an angle, like so, directly over your flame, and you can line your meat up this post, and it'll do as good of a job as this will, okay? But if you've got a lot to do, you're going to want to make this tripod. I want to reiterate, guys, you don't have to use bamboo for this. This is actually the first time I've made this out of bamboo. I've normally always used hardwoods. This is the first area I've been in that we've had a supply of bamboo. So I use it when it's available because it's so easy. Once you get one tied, you only have to tie one on the other side because you can stack these to just fall on the one you just tied. You don't need to retie this one because you're going to end up taking this down. Alright guys, there's the finished triangle. Alright, you want to keep the fire as low as you can, and we might have to move this whole tripod, so you want it sturdy enough that you can move it. But you are going to end up taking it down, so it doesn't have to be built bulletproof, just sturdy enough to wiggle and move around there if you need to. But now I'm going to lay sticks across here so that I can put my meat on it. Alright guys, let's see what we can do here. Alright, I have a couple of small pieces here that aren't going to make it. They're not going to hang on the bamboo real well. So I'm just going to fry those up on the griddle. save those for lunch too. There we are, guys. We got our loin hanging off there, getting some smoke. And we got our little pieces down there on the griddle. They're going to fry up real quick. Next thing we got to do, is drop our poncho over the top of this stuff. Very carefully. I got my finished jerky here. It's just on the tailgate of my truck. I just wanted to show you real quick what it should look like when you get it complete, okay? You hear that crunch? And you can see like the connective tissues in there, you know, the fascia of each, you know, muscle fiber. You should be able to see that very clearly. And that means it's dried out sufficiently to be kept for a while, okay? If it doesn't do that over your fire, if it doesn't do that while it's over your fire, just keep waiting. It's just not there yet, okay? But it should be dried out real well, and it does take a long time, okay? I didn't get this complete to where I was happy with it at the fire. I got it about, I'd say 75% where I wanted it. So I took it home, and when I took it home, I put it in my oven at 200 degrees, and I've got a convection oven, and it finished it out within about another hour at 200 degrees in my convection oven. So that was the kind of the very final aspect I needed to get it done. So. But I just wanted to show you real quick. That's the final product. It should break, you know, fairly easy in your hand, and it actually tastes really good. I've given it to several of my friends, and they couldn't believe it was pig, especially wild pig. So there it is. Good luck, guys.